So this is a quick video about the difference between an intensive and an extensive teacher training programme to hopefully help you decide between the two, because I know it can be a bit confusing. So the way that our intensive works, which are the ones that we've been doing for nearly a decade now, is that you come in for your first week, so that's intensive week 1, then you go off for 5 days, and then you come back in for one weekend, and you go off for another 5 days, and you come back in for that second intensive week. So basically you get qualified in a month, but you're only there for the first week and the last week, and you've got a break in between with one weekend. So the way that training is structured is that the front week, that first week, is really front loaded. So that's basically when you learn all of the sequence, and we do have a set sequence, and then you learn all the alignment principles too. And why we do that front loading is usually firstly because you've got a lot more energy in the first week and you can absorb a lot more because it's kind of all fresher. But also then that means that for the rest of the month that you go off, you kind of have that structure so that you can go and practice it. Whereas if we kind of, front load at the end of it, then you haven't got time to practice it before you get qualified. So it's definitely the best way to do it. But we always manage expectations that don't worry when you come in that first week and you go, my gosh, this is so much information. It's not going to stay like that. There's a lot more information in that front week, so you can put it to practice. And then basically the second week, we're just kind of like adding the lovely extras, which is working on your positioning, bringing in some sharing, bringing in some mudras and all these other kind of lovely bits and pieces which just enrich your teaching. But a lot of it is done in that first week. Now, I guess the benefit of that is that, it's intensive and you will make these incredible relationships in that intensive period, and you'll do some self-discovery work and share things with people that maybe you've never shared with other people, in your life up until that point. And those relationships absolutely will stay with you for life. It's one of the most incredible experiences you can have, and it really is like no other in many ways, and so an intensive training is really, really special if you can find the time to take that time off. Now, we know that taking like 2 weeks out of life is really, really difficult. Like, I'm a mum of 2 young boys. I've got a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I know how difficult it is to do that, trust me. And we have had people on the training who might be breastfeeding. We've had people who are actually going through chemotherapy treatment. We've got full-time carers, obviously full-time workers, and people do find a way. If you have the annual leave, if you have some support around you, if it's possible, then it's so worth doing, because the feedback that we always get is, yeah, it was difficult, but it was one of the best decisions I ever made for myself. And a really interesting, output that has come from it, that really often the feedback we get is, by taking myself out of the situation, whether that's at home, whether that's at work, whatever it might be, other people had to step in. And that's a really interesting process, because suddenly it frees you up to do what you want to do, but also it gives these people a little bit more ownership, a bit more autonomy in what they're doing, and they tend to really enjoy it too. Maybe not initially, because it might be difficult just to kind of get used to this new dance that we're dancing, and it's comfortable the old way, but eventually, the feedback we get at the end of the training is like, it's amazing how the structure at home has changed, how somebody does more, does something differently, or the kids are, doing more for themselves, or whatever it might be. So then when you return from the training, there's a much better balance at home, which is, an unexpected benefit from doing an intensive training, which is what we found over the years. So it won't be easy to take that time off, everybody's really busy, but it will absolutely be worth it. If, however, there is just no way it's possible, there's no annual leave left, there is no support from family around you, whatever it might be, then we've come up with an extensive training, which is actually the style of training that I did when I got qualified, which takes much longer, so it's 6 months, but it gives more time for the information to digest. So it depends what type of person you are, it depends if you like intensive environments, or if you feel like you need more space for things to digest, or, maybe it's just that you can take weekends off, but you can't take weekdays off. So the extensive training works that you have 4 days up front, again, to try and get that sequence and that alignment in. So that's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So you would only need to take those 2 days off. And then you've got 1 weekend a month. Okay, and that's 6 months, and then that final weekend, and this upcoming one is in December, then you have the Friday, the Saturday, and the Sunday. And so you're going to take 6 months to get qualified rather than the 2 months in the intensive, but you are majoritively going to be doing weekend trainings, and you've got more time to digest the content. And then obviously, you know, the extreme of that, then if you couldn't do that one, then we have an online training, which is 100% online. It's self-paced, so you just watch pre-recorded content in your own time, and you can join live calls as well, and you can do an optional hybrid where you meet up once a month with your group for a couple of hours. So there really is something for everyone. I guess one thing that I have seen, I'll be completely honest about it, is that it seems to be that the more spacious the trainings, okay, so the more you're kind of left to your own devices, in the sense that, you know, if you're doing a 6-month training and we're only with you one weekend a month, you've got a lot of time either side of those trainings. And if it's an online training and it's self-paced, then, you know, you've got a lot of time that you're kind of just working through the content on your own. Now, we're always there, you know, we have peer support groups, you can pick up the phone, you can book one-to-ones, you can email us, like you can always get in touch. So we will be holding your hand virtually as much as humanly possible. But what we have seen is that the more space around a training, the more chance for drop off, because naturally people have self-doubt, right? Especially when you're learning something new, something like yoga teaching can just create a lot of self-doubt. You know, you have those questions of like, can I really stand up and think that I can teach people? You know, little things will knock your confidence and it throws you off path. So I would say if confidence is something that you struggle with, if standing up and speaking in front of people is something that you struggle with, if commitment is something that you struggle with, right? Because it's going to be up to you to get, you know, the work done, to get the learning done, you might be better with an intensive training. And you know, we will support you all the way, and you just need to reach out if you're wobbling. But it's just something to flag. You know, I think all of the training is absolutely incredible. The content's exactly the same, right? So you're going to come out with these life-changing tools that are going to help improve your health and your wellness and give you, and your happiness, and give you a qualification to teach yoga anywhere in the world and be your own boss, right? So whatever you do, that's what you're going to get out of it. It's just really thinking about the how and the way that suits you best. So you're going to love it, there's no question about that, but just have a think about what style might suit you. And please, you know, book a call or email us and we can help you with that decision too.